everyone, and welcome back to another video, and happy holidays! Okay, so I'll go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I apologize for the lack of videos during November. I kinda decided to give myself a little break since I posted twice during October and I usually don't do that, so I thought it would be fine to maybe slack off a little bit. I was originally going to try and get this video out during the last Saturday of November, but I was on Thanksgiving break and we went on a trip to visit family, and even though I wasn't doing much at the beginning of the week, I probably still would have struggled trying to make the thumbnail and get the video out on time 5 hours away from home. So I thought it would be easier to just postpone the video. Then when we got back, and by the time I did, my break was basically over. I worked on the script, and then unfortunately on the Monday back, I ended up getting sick, so then I had to postpone everything again because I was doing terrible. And now we are here. I have gotten so much better, thankfully, so don't worry. I'm just going to try and bundle up as much as I can for the rest of this winter. Now let's actually get back on topic. As you've seen from the title, I present to you all a mainly art-focused video, specifically an art challenge. In this video, I'm going to be taking a bunch of my OCs since picking one is extremely hard for me, and then drawing them in multiple different art styles. So basically for each style, I'll talk about the style and why I like it, why I drew a specific OC for it, and follow up with the process. And I'm mostly choosing which OC to draw for each style based on who it reminds me of the most, if that makes sense. Mostly just for vibes. Also, really quickly, I'd like to thank you guys so much for the support on the animation process video along with the animation meme itself. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad to see you all enjoying my animations and the behind the scenes. And along with that, I'd like to thank you all for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers! 2,400 as I'm recording this, to be more specific. My goal is to get this channel to around 10,000 sometime around 2026, and with the way we're currently growing, I think it is very possible to meet that milestone. So once again, thank you all so much. I know I say stuff like this in every video, but I just want you all to know I just want you all to know that I appreciate you guys and all your support. Anyways, I don't want this intro to be crazy long, so let's go ahead and get started with the challenge. Alright, so we are on to our first art style, the Cuphead show along with the Cuphead game. So, as you all know, I am a Cuphead fan, so you could basically tell this was coming either way. I've always loved the style, and I love how it's a nod to the Rubber Hose cartoons from around the 30s, but it doesn't copy the style completely. They add some of their own twist to it, which makes it really distinct and even cooler. I decided to do both styles since I just felt like it, and drawing in both was so much fun because they're so similar yet so different. I've always known that, but drawing in the styles myself and having to look at a lot of references, I saw a lot of things I didn't notice before. The game style is a lot more simpler and has thicker lines on the outside, which is a fun detail I noticed. Along with brighter or more saturated coloring with a more of a chromatic aberration. I might not be saying it right, so correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a filter thing. And with the show, it has a lot more detail and is way more expressive with thinner lines. Also, the coloring is more desaturated but has a yellowish hue on it, if that makes sense, which looks really nice along with sometimes adding shadows, but I didn't add any on my drawing since it's usually for certain shots. So as you can see, the character I chose to draw in both of the styles is Clay. Why, you might ask? Mostly because I feel like he'd look good in the styles, and his design is simple enough, so I feel like it would be a lot more fitting. Also, he's a kid, and Cuphead and Mugman are kids, so I feel like getting references would be a lot easier when drawing him compared to my other OCs. Drawing him in this style was surprisingly very easy. The Cuphead styles are very simple anyway, so it didn't really take long for me to capture the essence of both. I just downloaded and looked at a bunch of pictures from the show and the game. That way I could make it look as accurate as I could, and I think I did a really good job. Definitely one of the most accurate ones of this entire challenge. Maybe it's because I've been in love with Cuphead for a long time, but either way, I still really enjoyed how this turned out. Next up, we have Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. So the character I decided to draw in this style is Charlie. I originally was going to do Claudine, but I already drew her in this style like twice, I'm pretty sure, so I of course wanted to switch it up and I drew her Crappy X instead. Anyways, the Panty and Stocking art style is definitely like my favorite art style anime wise. It's very unique and different from most animes. Anime isn't my thing in general, so I was actually kind of surprised to like the show as much as I do. They of course do sometimes have scenes where it's animated in the more well-known anime style, basically like the first thing you think of if like someone said the word anime, but it's usually for certain scenes like transformations, and I really love it when shows do that for some reason. Like they'll have their same old animation style most of the time, but for a fight scene or something they'll increase the budget and it looks incredible. That's like one of my favorite things to happen in cartoons, I swear. But yeah, I really enjoy how this show does that sometimes. I actually was going to draw Charlie in that like anime style too, but I backed out since I didn't really enjoy how it was looking, so instead have this older-ish one I drew of Claudine in my sketchbook instead. It does look a tiny bit ugly now, but hopefully that makes up for me not committing to drawing in this style this time. I'm actually really happy with how this one turned out as well. I actually did finish it one time, but then a friend pointed out that the lines were too thick, and then I was like, crap! At first I was gonna be lazy and not fix it, but it started to bug me a lot, so I decided to go back and fix it. Thankfully, there's a tool called Edge when messing with the liquify section, and it helps make your lines thinner. That way you don't have to redo all the line art. And that was a lifesaver. I also went back to rearrange some of the colors and other things, so I really enjoyed it a lot more after I made those changes. I think for the most part it's really accurate and Charlie would fit into the show perfectly. The only thing that still kind of bugs me is how the line art looks a little pixely, if that makes sense, but you could probably only see it if you look really close, so it might just be me. I always fixate on small mistakes in my art. Also, I thought my friend's joke about Charlie's name in the show being Chiffon is pretty funny. Inside job! Okay, I know what you're going to say. Yes, I am mad at Netflix too. I am upset that we were left on a cliffhanger because they wanted to cancel Inside Job for more episodes of Big Mouth. I get it, but we don't have to talk about that right now. Let's just pretend it's still getting episodes. That way we don't have to have another existential crisis. Anyways, for this style, I decided to draw Tyler and Claudine, aka the gender-bent versions of Tiana and Clyde. I was originally going to draw the originals, or the OGs, but I already associate them heavily with Inside Job, so to switch it up, I drew their gender bends, and I really enjoyed how it turned out. In the past, I've been told my art style is similar to Inside Job, and I can actually see it. Mostly in the eyes or faces in general, but I usually add more details to things like characters' outfits and hair, but other than that, I still see the similarities more compared to other art styles my art is compared to. Inside Job is like one of those adult shows that has it has an art style that isn't like a pain to look at. Like it's actually one of those shows where the art style is actually pretty good and it doesn't look hideous like a lot of other adult shows. Like it's still, you can tell it is an adult show, but it definitely has one of the better art styles compared to basically most of them, because I don't know why, but adult cartoons just think that they have to look ugly for some reason or just look dull and boring because, oh, this show is for adults. So adults don't like color and they don't like creativity or fun art styles. But, you know, Inside Job is one of those styles where it's actually very nice to look at and I really love the animation and all of that in it. So yeah, I actually take the fact that my art being compared to it as a compliment because, I mean, look at the style, it looks really nice. I actually use this show as a reference to how I could draw more of my male characters, that way they don't all have the same twink build in the past, since I was criticized for that and I think it helped me make my characters more diverse. Anyway, drawing in this style was pretty easy. I mostly just looked at a bunch of references to sketch what I saw, which was like, well, sketch what was like common in style, like the eyes of course and the more simple clothes and bodies. I think I was decently accurate to the show. I feel like it gives a little more Rick and Morty for some reason. But overall, I do think I did a good job on replicating it. Maybe it's because Inside Job doesn't have a fire person or a purple demon in the show that I could have referenced from, but for the first time drawing in this style, I think I did a good job. Up next, we have South Park! Originally, I wasn't going to draw in this style. I was considering it the entire time, but I wanted to make room for other styles I would have wanted to draw in more. Honestly, the hardest part of this video was finding the styles I really want to do. That way, I'd be more likely to actually complete the challenge and most importantly of all, have fun. But yeah, as you can see, South Park made it on the list and now we are here. So for this style, I could not just draw one character, so I drew High School Claudine and her siblings. I wanted to do them all since I guess because her and her family, and it feels like South Park, and also so I could have a variety, if that makes sense. Sketching out the styles was really easy and fun, but the hardest part was using the lasso tool and getting all the shapes and colors right, and then finding the right textures and making sure they show up. That was also sort of a struggle, but I made it through. I actually used the Pandaverse as a reference for how I drew Claudine and Clarita since I didn't want them to look boring and be in boring poses, but also wanted to make sure it looked accurate to the show. Then for the rest, like Clay and Clarette, I just used the characters from the main show. I feel like it's so easy to tell who I drew first since each character after the other looks better. Or maybe it's just me, I have no idea. But I do know that my favorite has to be Clarette since she looks so sweet in the style. I feel like she fits in a lot since I did give her a certain eye shape that kind of looks like how South Park does their eyes, but either way, she still looks really good. I'm really happy with how everyone turned out regardless. I think this one looks really accurate and the sketching part was really fun. I'm pretty sure I did use South Park a little bit for my art style inspiration. I guess mainly in the eyes because I love giving all my characters small pupils nowadays. Maybe that could be why this felt a little bit easier, but the style is simple enough so I feel like anyone could get it right. Also, the art style just looks really nice. I like how it's a lot different from other adult cartoons. Once again, it has one of those more distinct ones. The paper fill and all of that just feels so nice. And in the recent seasons, the art style has really improved a lot. They're better at drawing a lot more things and stuff. So I think that's really cool. Also, I love seeing improvements in shows like that. Alright, now we're on to Friday Night Funkin'! The characters I decided to draw in this style are High School Claudine again, along with her little brother Clay. So fun fact, my main inspiration for Clay's design was actually Boyfriend. He just kinda gave off the vibes with the hat and the baggy clothes that felt like Clay's personality, and I felt those things really captured the vibes I wanted for him. Basically being a loser but trying to look as cool as possible. And that's the reason why I wanted to draw Clay. And for Claudine, I feel like she would look really good in the style as well since all the women in this game look gorgeous, so I just had to add her, and also because I'm obsessed with her too, of course. So drawing in this style was really easy, it was simple enough. I did use some fan art as references too, but they were all very close to the original, game. I mostly use them for certain details like the shading, so I have no idea what else to say besides saying I used references, sketched, did line art, and colored like how this style usually does. I used to be super obsessed with this game around 2021. It was really fun seeing all of the mods, and honestly that was the main thing carrying the game at the time, and it was pretty cool seeing everyone's different stories and music. I'm pretty sure there are still plenty of mods coming out nowadays, but Friday Night Funkin' definitely isn't as popular as it was 4 years ago. God, I feel old saying that. Now, I think I did a really good job capturing the style. One of my friends said it looked very accurate, so I guess I am right when I say that. I've always been a fan of Friday Night Funkin's art style since it has that flashy Newgrounds graffiti vibe, which I love, and the game itself is also very fun, and also got me back into the rhythm game genre in general. And also, this time I found the perfect line art brush that really helped me make it look even more accurate, so thank you to whichever brush it was because I already forgot. Alright, next up we have My Little Pony, specifically the 2010 reboot just in case. So the character I'm drawing in this style is High School Clyde. Now I know it may feel strange since this guy is literally an annoying jock who bullies people, but that's just who he is when he's at school in front of everyone trying to keep his dignity. When he's at home in private, he's binging MLP cartoons, specifically the ones from the 80s since that's his timeline, and hugging his huge plushie of some character. You're probably wondering why I didn't draw him in the older generation style, but that's because I personally enjoy the 2010 version way more and I understand the style better and it's not as predictable to draw if that makes sense. Drawing in this style was pretty easy. My favorite part was doing the eyes since I think that's the core part of this art style. It really brought everything together and this didn't really take me too long. I was a little intimidated drawing a male pony since they don't have the cute features or whatever that means, but I think I did a pretty good job with handling High School Clyde in this style. At first I was going to draw him in an equestrian girl style as well, but I'll be honest, I kind of got a little bit lazy. But I also just think that the way the boys are drawn looks a little weird, and it intimidated me a little bit because I didn't know if I'd be able to do Clyde justice and not make him ugly. So I backed out. Whether it was for the better or for the worst is up to you, but either way, the original pony style definitely looks pretty accurate to the show to me, and I'm super proud of it. Next up, we have Dork Diaries! So for this one, I decided to draw High School Claudine again, but when she was in middle school. When I looked up more about the books, I found out it took place during middle school and not high school, so I drew her during her middle school years instead, since it's perfect. So I actually really love the style of these books a lot. These weren't really a huge part of my childhood. I was more of a diary of a wimpy kid, and I remember only reading one Dork Diary book ever in like the 5th grade, but I did enjoy it a lot, so there's that. But I only really know about, I guess, the basic plot points. A while ago I actually watched a video that compared both of the books, and I found it pretty interesting, so I'll leave it in the description if you guys want to give it a watch. Now, as for the style itself, it's definitely one of my favorites when it comes to books, and it has a lot of things that make it distinct and unique, like how the arms are all black and kind of remind me of Stickman, and the face having an anime-like style, and then the hair that's simple but detailed with the line work. It looks super great altogether. I also find media that's mostly just all white with no color very cool too. I don't know how to explain why, but I think it makes it even cooler. Drawing in the style was pretty fun actually, and the style is simple enough, so I got it done pretty quickly. I didn't really struggle on anything here. I just locked in, and I think I did a really great job, and it surprisingly looks accurate. Because the background looked kind of plain, I added a notebook background and some more stuff to add pizzazz, since I do not like any of my artwork looking plain. But yeah, there you go. I think I did a good job here. Claudine looks super cute, and I think she could fit in the books perfectly. Alright, now we are on to another peak art style, Monster High, G1 specifically in case. So for this style, I decided to draw Charlie in it again, mostly because she has a lot of design elements that are similar to a lot of the characters in the franchise, like the big hair, the boots, and the purse, and also I feel like she would look really good, so I drew her in this style over many other OCs. So first thing I want to say is that the Monster High style is so gorgeous and the most 2010s thing ever, honestly. I was never a big fan of the franchise as a kid. I was more of an MLP girl, but I had a small Monster High phase, and I even have some of the dolls. However, they are in the storage room and I don't feel like spending 20 years looking for them. All I gotta say is that the artist or the artist who made this art and the designs better have been paid really well, because this franchise would be nothing without them. Just saying. Drawing in the style was easy for the most part, but tricky at some parts, mostly the line art, some shading, and adding some of the little details that really bring the style together, since I had to look really closely to make sure I made things look accurate. The designs of Monster High usually have a lot of patterns and designs going on, and Charlie doesn't have all that, so I decided to add glitter onto her outfit so that she doesn't look super plain. Like I said, the Monster High designs usually have a lot of patterns and complex details, and Charlie's design is a lot more simple, so I tried to add a little bit more to her, and then after that I made a whole background so she wouldn't be standing in a void, and also to add more pizzazz. Anyways, I think I did a pretty good job on drawing her in the style. I am really proud of how I did her face and hair. I feel like for her body, I could have made it look a little better, but overall, I still really like how this one turned out. Okay, I know what some of you guys are going to say, but Hershia, you already draw like Vivziepop. Please stop lying, please. Yes, there might be some similarities with both of our styles, but just because we both have sharp lines, some characters with sharp hair, and demon characters doesn't make our styles the same. But I hate to admit, I had a lot of fun drawing in her style. The characters I drew for this one are Charlie and also High School Claudine again. I drew them because I felt like their designs would look really good in this style, and the way Viv draws her female characters usually look really good, so now, for this artwork, I actually mainly reference Vivziepop's older artwork since I feel like it has a lot more uniqueness, also because I think it looks so much better than her new art, but we could save that topic for another day. Anyways, like I said, I had a lot of fun drawing in this style since I could be a lot more loose with my lines and make things, I guess, more wacky. I just felt like I had a lot of freedom to do what I wanted. I exaggerated the hair a bit, mostly Claudine, since that's what Viv usually does, and I of course made them more skinny since she does that too. The only thing I didn't do was make them overly red. The hardest part was probably doing the shading since it was really confusing. I had to watch a few of Vivziepop's old speed paints to see how she really did it, and it helped a tad, but I still had to kind of wing it, I guess. Charlie's hair was a little bit difficult too, since when Viv draws white hair, she usually adds a bunch of details and more on it, so I added as much as I could while being as accurate as possible. Everything else was pretty easy, but I have no idea how doing this took so long, but I guess doing the line art and coloring in this style is similar to how I do mine, so I guess that could explain it. Anyways, I hate to admit it, but this is probably one of my favorite pieces of the challenge. I really love how this turned out, and I think I matched Vivziepop's style pretty decently. I probably could have gone harder with making it a little more wacky, but I think it's gorgeous the way it is, so yay! Now, last and not least, we have Les Nombrils, also known as the Bellybuttons. Okay, so first, very peak comic, I really recommend it, and don't worry, the full thing is online for free in English, and if I find the website again, I'll make sure to link it in the description. Anyways, for this style, I drew Claudine and her frenemy, Leah. So the reason why I drew these two specifically is very funny. It's because in the comics, small tiny spoiler by the way, I guess, there's this doomed Yuri between one of the main characters named Vicky and this girl named Megani, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but she's introduced later, and their dynamic is like a back and forth thing where Vicky is trying to deny her feelings towards Megan because gay equals bad, and Megan likes to tease her and be a jerk on purpose to get at her, and it kind of reminded me of Claudine and Leah a little bit. Their dynamic isn't doomed Yuri since they both have partners anyway, but it's still funny to think about because that's kind of their dynamic too, but they don't have romantic feelings for each other. I still ship it though because it's funny. Now, as for the style of the comics itself, I love it. It is so gorgeous and has a loose feel to it, which I also love, and it's very unique. I love how wiggly the lines are and how dynamic the characters feel. You can really see how much the artist improved from each comic because the art just gets better and better, and I eat it up each time. Drawing in the style was really easy, however, I mostly struggled a little bit on the line art because the art style has thick lines in some areas and thin lines in others, and I was really trying to make sure I made the line weight accurate enough. Now, I'm really proud of how I drew Leah here. She looks amazing, but Claudine kind of looks a little weird to me. I went back to adjust the line weight and stuff, and it looks a tiny bit better, but it still bothers me. However, I don't think there's anything I could do to fix it, so I just left it. Either way, I am still happy with how this one turned out regardless. I'm just happy I could have the experience of drawing in another peak art style. Also, some bad news in case anyone is thinking about giving the Bellybuttons a read. The comic actually leaves off on a cliffhanger, and it's because the creators were married, one being the artist and the other being the writer. And of course, when they separated, that basically meant the series wouldn't be continued, so yeah. Sorry about that, y'all, but if you do end up reading and wanting more, there's probably a fan-made ending somewhere. Sorry for the bad ending. I honestly didn't know that many people knew about it, I guess, until my friends told me they liked it, so I guess it's not as niche as I thought it was, so yeah. Now we have made it through all 10 art styles! I honestly have a feeling this video might be longer than I wanted to, but we'll have to see by the time I'm finished recording. I hope you all enjoyed seeing the process of me drawing in these styles. Doing this challenge was very fun, and I almost forgot it was a challenge because I feel like it was a lot easier than I thought. But I'm glad I had fun, and I hope you all had fun watching this video. Feel free to comment which ones are your favorite or which ones were the most accurate, since I'd love to hear your thoughts. And feel free to leave a coffee emoji at the end of that comment to get a shout out in my next video. And speaking of shoutouts, here are the shoutouts for my last video. Thank you all so much for the support over there. I really appreciate it. I'll make sure to leave you all on the screen. Now with all that being said, let's get to the outro. And we've made it to the outro! Thank you to everyone who watched the video all the way to this point. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe if you're interested in more videos like this one. Doing this challenge was so much fun, and more will definitely be on the way. Sorry if the description of the processes for each of these art styles was basically me saying I looked at references and sketching it. I honestly had no idea on what else to say other than that, or some things I struggled on, so yeah. And also, if some names were confusing, like me saying the same name for 2 sections but drawing a different design, that's because I have a lot, and I mean a lot, of alternative universes, also known as AUs, for my OCs, and I love every last design I've made, so of course I wanted to include them in the video. If you are still confused, don't worry, because I'm planning on making a video talking about these said AUs, that way I can clear up some things. I feel like next year is definitely going to be a big OC year for this channel, so if that interests you, feel free to stay tuned, because that one OC video from a couple months ago isn't all I have to say. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe if you're interested in more art, animation, and original characters. Feel free to also follow me on my other socials like TikTok and Instagram, and feel free to even join my Discord server. The link doesn't expire, so no need to rush if you're interested. And now, with all that being said, I'll be seeing all of you guys next year. Bye, and happy holidays!